Good afternoon, I'm Gabe, the Ciderologist, and I'm here today at Daylesford, just outside Melbourne, to try some of the fantastic estate-grown ciders. We've got a tasting flight here of the full range of their ciders, and I'm really looking forward to trying and tasting the full spectrum of flavours and aromas that are all born and brought out of the different apple varieties and uses that they use here. One of the amazing things about Daylesford is that they've got a fantastic blend and range of different bittersweet, bitter sharp, sweet and sharp cider apple varieties, traditional varieties from the UK and from France. And this is quite unique to Australia. There aren't so many places that have got these varieties. These are the types of ciders that I'm used to back from the UK, but they're not so common here in Australia. So Daylesford are right at the forefront of educating people as to just how interesting and complex cider can be. So naturally, in order to be able to talk with some authority on this place, I need to try some of their ciders. So let's have a go. First of all, we're going to start with the vintage dry. It's beautiful clarity, and we've got some real nice pétillant bubbles kind of coming up through. What I particularly like about this is that it is a true dry cider. The name is often bandied around and used by lots of ciders as being dry when it doesn't really kind of stack up or match up. This is just off dry, I would say, probably not absolutely bone dry, but that just little hint of sweetness just allows the fruit to really come to life. But there's a lot of tannin in there, but it's a real soft astringency. It's not harsh and it's not overly bitter. This is a cider that somebody from the UK would really enjoy and appreciate, and they could recognise it as something being true to what's made back in their place. But it's a really accessible cider, so for somebody over here in Australia who might not have tried a cider like this before with these types of apples, it's a really, really good introduction for them for this style. So that's a great start. Next we're going to move on to the Farmhouse dry style. So we can see that it's got a touch more colour than the first one, so it's using some slightly more tannic, richer fruit. Let's have a taste. Interesting, this variety, this blend rather, has got a bit more acidity than the first one. So it's a bit fresher and a bit livelier. It's still quite dry, but it's really fruity. That fruit expression is coming right to the fore. It's hitting me all around the side of the tongue because that's where the acidity is hitting, but it's not overly sharp or crisp or sour. It's real soft, but just balances really nice against that soft tannin and a little bit of sweetness in there as well. That's a really nice, balanced, full drink. I think Farmhouse almost does a bit of a disservice. It's a really, really well-made cider, but I can see how they're trying to allude to a slightly more acidic style of UK Farmhouse cider. Next up, we have, they call it half and half. Now, I suppose that's because it's kind of appealing to everybody. You've got a little bit of everything in here. A little bit sweeter than the first two. Very accessible, very drinkable. Really does fill the mouth out. Actually, it's got a real boldness. There's a little hint of spiciness in there as well. This is something that you could probably have by the fireside as well as having on a warm summer's day. My advice would be not to chill this cider down too much because you'll lose quite a lot of the quite bold aroma that we've got from the polyphenols in there. It's this is quite a versatile and adaptable cider. This would be really, really good with some food. This would be really, really good with a quite strong, rich, meaty kind of thing. Really good with the barbecue to complement against the meats being cooked on there. A soft and delicate cider it's not, but it's a very, very satisfying and very, very moorish cider. Next up, we have the Sweet Coppin. Now, Sweet Coppin, this is a really good cider. In fact, it's an award-winning cider. Sweet Coppin is the name of one of the apple varieties that they grow here on the farm. Again, it's a traditional English cider apple variety. It comes from Somerset. And as the name suggests, it's got a very, very sweet juice initially. And when it ferments, some of that residual sweetness is retained, and it has a real nice florality and richness. It's not overly tannic, it's not overly acidic either. It's all about the fruit. It's really, really fruit forward. It makes it incredibly moorish and easy to drink. It's a little bit sweeter than the previous ones we've tried here, so it might appeal to a consumer, an already pre-existing cider consumer here in Australia. It's a little bit more accessible possibly, but it's really fruity, it's really bold, award winner at the Australian Cider Awards. This won a gold, and I can completely see why, because to achieve that richness and fruitiness but without seeing overly rich and sickly and cloying is quite a challenge. And in fact, making any cider from a single apple variety is quite a difficult thing to do. Its flavour profile can often be very lopsided or one-sided. They've managed to retain quite a lot of balance with this cider, which is quite an achievement and something they should be really, really proud of. Next up, summer pétillant. Now, pétillant means just very, very tiny bubbles, so it's not a still cider, but equally it's not quite a sparkling cider. It's just got a little bit of CO2, which is saturated within the liquid, which just provides a little bit of tingle on the tongue. It's a really interesting blend of apple varieties they've got in there. Again, it's kind of just off dry, but there's a real strong nutty flavour coming through. It's sort of hazelnut or maybe even walnut, which it's slightly addictive and slightly moreish. It makes me want to go back and keep on trying it and keep on trying it. It's quite a complex cider. I would say I'd almost call it like a grown-up cider. It's not just something that's just overly sweet. Again, it's got a real nice balance, but this richness and complexity of apple flavours and aromas are coming through that make it quite distinctive from the previous ones we've tried before. I think that's a really, really good cider, and for anybody who wants to try something a little bit different, who wants to educate their palate a little bit more, it's a really good place to be heading to. Next up, we've got the draft still cider, which is only on tap. Cider naturally comes out still. You make cider in the same way that you make a wine. You get the fruit, you squeeze it, you have juice full of sugar, and it ferments, and it comes out still. If you want something to be sparkling, you have to do something to it. In this case, the other ciders have been in bottle fermented, but this is a still draft cider, so it's quite a different proposition. It is really, I suppose, the equivalent to a table white wine. So let's see how it stacks up. Oh, it's really gentle. It's really quite floral, actually, almost kind of elderflower. It's lacking a little bit of the acidity. Freshness is a little sweeter and a little richer, so it's almost like a medium white wine. Again, be fantastic with some food. This is definitely to be drunk out of a wine glass rather than out of a larger pint glass. This is for sipping and for savouring and enjoying. Next up, we've got the draft sparkling. So this is again an on tap. This is a keg option. So this is what you get if you go down and you want to have something off the tap. Let's have a try. It's lovely. Got that real crisp, green, fresh apple coming through. I think this has had a little bit of dessert apple added to it, as well as the cider apple varieties as we've tasted before. And the two balance off really nicely against each other. We've got the body and the sturdiness from the tannins from the cider apple, so then that fresh apple skin aroma and that lovely green apple acidity as well from the dessert apples, with that little bit of carbonation. It just balances real nice, and it's definitely a crowd pleaser. This one. This is the type of cider that you have on your warm summer's day. This is what you have when you want to have that sort of really nice ultimate refreshment, which we know that cider can give. So that's definitely a winner in my mind. And then the final one. This cider is so special, rare, and unique that it doesn't even have a name yet. But it's in bottle fermented. It's been sat on the lees for 8 months. It's had some French oak staves in it, and so this is a really, really special cider. This is the demonstration of just how good cider can be. So it hasn't got a name. We're trying to think of something witty and interesting to come up with, but let's see what it tastes and smells like first of all. That's an incredible cider. The aroma is really intense. It's a real intense fruitiness, but there's also some spiciness. It's phenolic, and the polyphenols are what come from these cider apple varieties, these English and French cider apple varieties. They're entirely unique, and they're very, very rare here in Australia. And what's so good about this is that there isn't any hint of off flavour or funkiness. It's just a pure expression of fruit, and it's really bold and it's really enticing and it draws you in. But then on the palate, this is where it all kicks off. From the tannins, we've got